Imagine uncovering the bones of a human that no longer exists. Not a different culture, not a lost tribe, an entirely different human species, one that lived, hunted, and survived on this planet, and then vanished so completely that history forgot it ever walked the earth. For centuries, scientists believed the story of human evolution was simple, a slow climb from primitive ancestors to modern humans, a straight path leading to us. But deep inside a remote cave, hidden for thousands of years, researchers discovered something that shattered that idea. Small bones, ancient teeth, fragments of a mysterious past. They didn't belong to modern humans. They didn't belong to Neanderthals either. Instead, they belonged to a completely unknown branch of humanity. A species no one knew existed. A species that left behind almost nothing, and then disappeared. For most of the 20th century, the story of human evolution seemed relatively clear. Our closest ancient relatives were known as Neanderthals, powerful hunters who lived across Europe and Western Asia. Another species, Homo erectus, had spread across much of the ancient world long before modern humans appeared. Eventually, around 300,000 years ago, our own species, Homo sapiens, emerged in Africa and slowly spread across the planet. According to this traditional view, modern humans eventually replaced the other human species. The evolutionary tree seemed mostly mapped, but scientists would soon discover that the human family tree was far more complicated and far more mysterious than anyone imagined. Because hidden in a cave in Siberia, a discovery was waiting that would rewrite the story entirely. In 2008, archaeologists working inside a remote cave in southern Siberia uncovered a tiny fragment of bone. The site, known as Denisovan Cave, had already produced fossils from Neanderthals and early humans. At first glance, the small bone fragment looked unremarkable, just a piece of a finger. But when scientists analyzed its DNA, the results were shocking. The genetic code didn't match modern humans. It didn't match Neanderthals either. Instead, it belonged to a completely unknown branch of humanity. Researchers realized they had discovered an entirely new human species, one that had never been identified before. They named them the Denisovans. What made the discovery even stranger was how little evidence existed. Unlike Neanderthals, whose skeletons have been found across Europe, the Denisovans left behind only a handful of bones, a finger fragment, a few teeth, and pieces of skull. And yet their DNA revealed that they were once widespread across Asia. They were real. They lived alongside other human species, and somehow they vanished almost completely from the fossil record. So who were the Denisovans? And what happened to them? Genetic evidence suggests they were closely related to Neanderthals, but formed their own distinct branch of the human family. At some point in the distant past, their ancestors split off and evolved separately. For thousands of years, they lived across vast regions of Asia, from Siberia to Southeast Asia. But the strangest discovery came when scientists began analyzing modern human DNA. People living today in places like Papua New Guinea, Tibet, and parts of Southeast Asia carry small amounts of Denisovan DNA in their genes. This means the Denisovans didn't simply disappear. They lived modern humans, they lived beside them, and they even had children together. A remarkable fossil discovered in Denisovan Cave revealed something extraordinary. The bones belonged to a teenage girl whose mother was a Neanderthal and whose father was Denisovan, a direct child of two different human species.
It's a reminder that the ancient world was not inhabited by a single type of human. It was a world where multiple human species shared the planet at the same time. Yet somehow, the Denisovans faded away. No cities, no tools uniquely tied to them, almost no bones, just fragments and traces hidden inside our DNA. Today, the Denisovans remain one of the greatest mysteries in human evolution, a species we know almost entirely through genetics rather than fossils. They lived for tens of thousands of years, they adapted to harsh environments, and they interacted with other human species, including our own. Yet somehow they disappeared so completely that we only rediscovered them by accident. Their story reminds us that the history of humanity is far from complete. Entire branches of our family tree may still be waiting to be discovered, buried beneath caves, deserts, and ancient landscapes around the world. Because the deeper we dig into the past, the more we realize how much of our story is still missing. And somewhere out there, the Earth may still be hiding the next lost chapter of humanity.